What's going on YouTube? Jamie Woods again with another video. Today guys, I'm making a wrestling video because yesterday I made a soccer video, then I made a football video the day before that. So we're having a rotation here. Today is wrestling day. Alright guys, so I want to talk about why the Ruthless Aggression era is possibly the greatest era in wrestling in history. Now guys, all of y'all motherfuckers are going to be talking about the Attitude Era, how great the Attitude Era was, and I'm not saying it wasn't. It's one of the greatest, but I think the Ruthless Aggression is better for the simple fact that the match quality was better. Everything was a bit more, yes, you had your gimmicks and your stupid stuff here and there, just like any other era, but it was a lot less goofy than the Attitude Era. It was way more star-studded. The rosters were way more stacked. I think that was probably the most stacked rosters we ever had. The pay-per-views were amazing, iconic pay-per-views. Just the brand split was in a way cool because it added competition within the company. A lot of young and rising stars that changed the game and are considered GOATs to this very day. Like, it was just an amazing time. Like, I loved it. Like, here's the thing about the Attitude Era. This is the thing that I don't like about the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era, like I said before, it was very goofy. All these goofy things just to get ratings. At that time, in the mid-late 90s, wrestling was very gimmicky, very like unrealistic. If you look back at it now, like, yeah, you'll get nostalgia, it'll be great, but if you really dig deep, you'll be like, what the fuck is this? Like, this will not fly nowadays. A fucking woman, an elderly woman, pregnant by an African-American man, giving birth to a fucking hand. You know how goofy that is? That's mad goofy, and that happened a lot. A lot of these storylines are very goofy, very unrealistic. It's just very like what? This is kind of cringy a little bit. And on top of that, the match quality was dope, but not as great as the Ruthless Aggression Era. And I felt like the Attitude Era, yeah, the Ruthless Aggression suffered this too, but the Attitude Era was very much about the Austin. It was kind of like the Austin show. Everything was about Stone Cold Steve Austin. And yeah, The Rock was there sometimes, maybe Triple H, maybe Undertaker, but it was mostly Stone Cold Steve Austin. Nobody came above him. Same thing happened in the Golden Era with Hulk Hogan. The thing about the Ruthless Aggression Era that I really loved was that there was a lot more than just one person. Like, yeah, we had Triple H's run of dominance and all that type of shit. But yeah, you had Chris Benoit having his moment. Eddie Guerrero having his moment with the ball. You had John Cena, Batista, Randy Orton. John Cena didn't fully dominate until the PG era, which was about 08-ish. Once or after 08, that's when he dominated. Yeah, he had a long title run from 05 to 08, but he wasn't really that hated yet. Like, he was hated, but not that much, to the point of when in 09 all the way up until 2014 when he was really hated in the PG era. But like, everyone had their time to shine in the Ruthless Aggression era. Brock Lesnar, he's another one. On top of that, the match quality was so much more superior to the Attitude Era, and you cannot deny that. Go look at the matches from the Ruthless Aggression era. And what I consider by the Ruthless Aggression era, I consider Ruthless Aggression era after WrestleMania 17 or so, because WrestleMania 17 to me is the end of the Attitude Era. Once the invasion angle started coming in, that was when Ruthless Aggression started beginning. Then 02, Vince had his speech. So I would say from 01, 02 all the way up to 08 is the Ruthless Aggression era. After that is the PG era. But the match quality was so superior. Like Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho back in WrestleMania 19, Brock and Kurt. You had so many great matches. Undertaker had a great run of matches in this time period. Like, it was just phenomenal. Everyone had great matches left and right. And who could ever forget the SmackDown 6 when you had Edge, you had Angle, Guerrero, Benoit, Lesnar, and I forgot who the sixth person was. I'm really forgetting. Was it Rey Mysterio? I think it might have been Rey Mysterio. You had Mysterio. SmackDown was so good back then. SmackDown was much-watched TV. You had a 5-star classic, 4-star classic almost every other week in SmackDown. Raw had its moments. Yeah, you had Triple H's run of dominance, but I'd rather watch Raw back then than now. Raw now, and Raw the last 10 years has sucked. It sucked the last 10, 15 years. But Raw back then, yes, there was a couple things, a couple issues, but for the most part, it was entertaining. You had a lot of entertaining characters back then. You had fucking pay-per-view quality matches day in and day out on Monday Night Raw back then. Who can ever forget that Jeff Hardy Undertaker ladder match? Who can ever forget that Las Vegas tag team ladder match? Who can ever forget when Kane got unmasked by RVD? Like, and that's just a little bit of what happened back then. There's so much more other matches that I haven't even mentioned that happened. The Brock Lesnar Kurt Angle Iron Man match in SmackDown in 03, classic. Edge and Eddie Guerrero had a classic ladder match. Rey Mysterio's debut was awesome. I'll never forget that episode of SmackDown. And how about the iconic pay-per-views in that era? You had WrestleMania 18, SummerSlam 2002, which is considered to be the best SummerSlam of all time and possibly one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. Survivor Series 02, to me, the best Survivor Series of all time, and I'll make a video based on this fucking pay-per-view because it's probably one of my favorites of all time. WrestleMania 19, one of the best Manias of all time. WrestleMania 20, probably also one of the best WrestleManias. 21, very enjoyable WrestleMania. 22, very enjoyable WrestleMania. 23, very enjoyable WrestleMania. 24, very enjoyable WrestleMania. Do you get the hint here? There's a lot of iconic pay-per-view, and there's way more than that too. There's way more than that I haven't even gotten into. And who could also, that tag team match from No Mercy 2002 with Benoit and Angle versus Edge and Mysterio. That was probably one of the greatest tag team matches of all time. There's a lot of great shit that happened in this era that people take it for granted. People always want to talk about, and the reason for that is because of Austin and Rock. Because once the Ruthless Aggression era started going in, Austin and Rock were minimized. They weren't really on TV as much. Rock went Hollywood. Austin was like, I'm gonna take my ball and I'm gonna go home. You know, I think that was the issue, is that people were so attached to these characters, those two characters, that when they left, they're like, I don't want to watch this no more. Meanwhile, it was the most star-studded roster ever. You had Hogan, you still had Rock here and there, still had Austin here and there, Ric Flair, Triple H, Benoit, Guerrero, Mysterio, Brock Lesnar, Cena, Orton, Batista. You even had Scott Steiner up in that bitch. You had Scott Steiner, Goldberg. And the list goes on, guys. The tag team division was on top at that time. Cruiserweight division was dope. The main event scene, yes, Triple H was here and there, but Triple H was given 5-star matches. Triple H, WrestleMania 20, 5-star match. He had other great feuds around that time too. Yeah, in 03 he had it was a little bit shaky with the WCW guys. He went against Goldberg and Steiner, and that was kind of But dude, Triple H was still Triple H, man. Evolution, we need a fucking thing like that. I think the last great stable, I mean, you can say the Shield, but the last great one was Evolution. To this very day, people are talking about Evolution still. You had Orton, Batista, Flair, and Triple H. You had the past, the present, and the future in one stable, and it was dope. All four of them were awesome. And Randy Orton and Batista became huge stars after that. They picked the two best guys for that. Triple H was the man of the hour. Ric Flair was the man of the past. It gave Ric Flair a purpose. It was a great fucking stable. They dominated. They're one of the best heel stables ever. I'm not saying they're NWO or DX, but they're up there, man. Don't count out Evolution. It was, guys, you know, you need to respect the Ruthless Aggression a lot more. Ruthless Aggression made things that we never thought would be possible happen. Eric Bischoff came to the WWE around this time. Paul Heyman was very involved in the WWE, and you can tell because he was doing his job, man. He was doing a great job with SmackDown. It was a fabulous time that I still rewatch I still rewatch matches. I still rewatch pay-per-views. Everything was so much more better back then. Matches were so great and fast-paced and different. There was a lot of different styles. You had your technical wrestlers, your cruiserweight wrestlers, your heavyweight wrestlers. A lot of fucking great titles. The titles back then were still prestigious. The WWE and World Heavyweight titles were prestigious back then. Intercontinental was still prestigious back then. The tag team titles were dope as fuck. It was just a great time. A great time. I still have the VHSs. I still got the DVDs. I'll never throw them out just because of what they meant to me. So if I were to pick the best year out of all those years, because I know that's going to be a question some of y'all are probably going to be asking in the comment section. I would say my favorite year in the Ruthless Aggression era, overall, it's hard. I would have to say 2002. And that's just my preference, because 2002 had the combination, especially the second half of 02. I think the second half of 02 is when WWE really hit a stride. They really were on a roll. Because the first half, they're in a bit of an identity crisis, but what held it up was the fact that it was a star-studded roster. So you had the NWO invade the WWE. You had Jericho's, even though I think Jericho had a very underrated title reign that was ended short in WrestleMania 18. Then you had Triple H's title reign and all that, and some decent title reigns. So yeah, the first half of 02 was very star-studded, but the second half was dope, as then they find their identity. They're really into the Ruthless Aggression era by the time the second half came in, and it was amazing. It was so great. You're having great matches left and right. Pay-per-views are dope. I mean, let's look at it. SummerSlam 02, Unforgiven 02, No Mercy, Survivor Series, Armageddon 02. All those were great pay-per-views. All of them. All of them. And WrestleMania 18 in the first half of the year is a great WrestleMania. I enjoyed Royal Rumble that year. The whole Triple H surprise return was dope as fuck. You had great matches. The tag team match in No Mercy of 02. The Hell in a Cell match with Brock Lesnar and Undertaker. Brock Lesnar and Brock. Shawn and Triple H in the unsanctioned match. The Triple Threat match in Vengeance 02. I can go on. I can keep going on. 03 is right, and 03, I would say 03 is cool too, but the issue with 03 was that 03, like, Triple H's run of dominance, it would have been better if it would have been against better people. The whole fact that he buried Booker T at WrestleMania, went against Scott Steiner and Goldberg in those horrible matches, kind of ruined it, 03 for me in a sense. But 03 overall was a great year. SmackDown was superb in 03. That was like Brock Lesnar's prime year. That was when Brock Lesnar was on top of the world. Cena was getting big. Orton was getting big. Evolution was dope. Batista was getting big. Like, Raw had Eric Bischoff, and Raw still had this thing going on. It was just Triple H's little run of dominance, and some pay-per-views were very inconsistent. But yeah, you did have a lot of great pay-per-views that year. You had WrestleMania 19. You had Survivor Series 03. SummerSlam was a little shaky that year. Vengeance 03 was pretty dope. A lot of people forgot about that. That's when they had the brand exclusive pay-per-views, which I think was a bad idea. They should have just kept it to both brands, which they ended up having. I thought another great year in Ruthless Aggression was 2005. A lot of people were going to say 2005 because that was the year that Cena and Batista got big, Orton got big. A lot of great pay-per-views. Royal Rumble was great that year. WrestleMania was great that year. Survivor Series was great that year. SummerSlam was good. Like, it was just a great year. And some people are going to say 06 too. 06 was there, 08, I think Ruthless Aggression really ended after WrestleMania 24. After that, that's when PG started. Once HD came in and the PG thing, I think after WrestleMania 24 is when the PG era really kicked off. But guys, let's put some respect on the Ruthless Aggression era. It was a great fucking time. If I'm missing anything, I'm sure I missed a lot of things. This is such a great fucking time period. There's a lot of great things I missed out on. Definitely put it in the comment section below what your favorite moment of the Ruthless Aggression era is. If you disagree, comment that below too. What is your favorite? Is it the Golden Era? Is it the new era with Shawn Michaels and Brett? Is it the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression, PG, current? You put it, you name it. You could just put it in the comment section. All right, guys, peace out.